Cool. Um, well, welcome everybody. I know you all are very busy educators, academics, leaders on your campuses. So it's really great to have you here. We appreciate you. We have the utmost respect for the work that you do. And we want to thank you for joining us today. So I just want to kind of kick this off with our introduction. I know for some of you we've met before. For others, this may be our first time meeting. This is the Journalism HBCU Digital Media Collaborative. We're all about journalism, and we're all about launching HBCU student media into the world of collaborative and civic journalism with a toolkit of essential resources. And I really want to highlight resources because that's essentially what we're here to do is to really bring resources to your doorstep. And I'll talk to you about that today. So what is the HBCU Digital Media Collaborative? We're an organization focused on empowering HBCU student journalists and campus media by providing essential resources, mentorship, and support for digital transformation. So if you need help or support or advice or guidance, we're here for you, and you'll learn more about that. So I just want to quickly mention that this is led up by two folks at the moment. We're co-founders. Justin and I got together to launch this collaborative. Our backgrounds, we're both HBCU alums. I come from a print journalism as well as an online journalism background. Some of the focuses that I have as a discipline include data, UX, and design. And I currently run a studio out of Sacramento, California called Get Current Studio that supports Black and Brown publishers with digital transformation. And Justin, he's an alum of Alabama State University. He's very familiar with things like online revenue, nonprofit giving, and journalism support. And he currently works for a support organization you may have heard of called the Pivot Fund that essentially supports local and many ethnic media publishers in their needs and challenges with journalism and ways to improve what they're doing. So we got together to do this because we really are passionate, both of us, about our HBCUs. And, we had a conversation at one point where, we asked each other, what do you ultimately want to do? And so I shared with Justin that I really wanted to work with HBCU students and do a lot of the work that we see happening at the professional level and bring it into the student environment for HBCUs. And he was 100% on board with this idea and shared the same passion and commitment to that vision. So we've essentially grown from a small program to large scale impact, essentially is what we're out for. For the past 10 years, I've led the ONA HBCU Digital Media Fellowship. We bring, 4 to 6 students to the ONA conference. And, we see a couple of different things happen in that space. Students get activated, they get excited about what they're seeing. Some of them maybe getting a little worried and concerned about whether they're able to do the same things. They get exposed to lots of opportunities. Folks come to our room and engage them. And for the most part, it's been a very successful program. Our students have gone on to places like Reuters or the New York Times, Washington Post, and Teen Vogue, to name a few. And some folks even go on to graduate school programs and have graduated and have gone on to really great places in journalism. So we can't take all their credit, obviously, at the fellowship, and it's definitely based on what they're coming in with. But what we really want to do is support that student development and make sure that they're getting exactly what they need or supplement what they don't have. So we've done our homework, and I think it's important just to highlight your challenges. The one thing that we want to, kind of really lean into here in this conversation is the idea that we know that you all are working hard on your campuses. We know that you all, have a lot on your plates. We know that campuses are struggling to produce online journalism, and that poor infrastructure, for things like websites and how your journalism gets out that's produced by students. If it's a poor infrastructure, it's going to have a hard time reaching the audience that it's intended to serve. And we know that overloaded faculty, struggle to embrace, online technology or the pace of what's happening in journalism. So we understand these challenges. We've talked to a lot of schools and a lot of academics, a lot of department leaders about this challenge, because we really want to understand it. And that's where we come in. That's what we're essentially where we're trying to, help and be a resource to you. One of my numbers isn't showing. There it is. Okay. Sorry about that. So why we exist, the digital age has transformed journalism, and we want to support campus in evolving. So sustaining and elevating HBCU news is paramount. We want to preserve and enhance the products that you have, or preserve and enhance the programs that you have, so we can look at this from a student media or a departmental kind of service offering here. We want to empower student-led media for sure, and that is implement and optimize student media publishing efforts, encouraging creativity and leadership in journalism. We want to provide real-world industry experiences, so create a professional news media environment that offers students hands-on experience and essential supports to grow. So hands-on is a big part of what we're trying to do here. And then advancing HBCU student journalists. So we're really working on building a nurturing pipeline for students to get more skilled and knowledgeable in different journalism disciplines, and really be on the curve of where the industry is going, and being able to bring that to you, bring that to your classrooms, or to your students, or even to the academics that are interested in following along. So I'm going to use this as an example, right? I kind of want to tell a story here, before and after. So we got the Grambling night, and this is my alma mater. Dr. Robbie Morgenfeld is really familiar with the challenges over there. He was a former head of department. But essentially what we found was that the website for the Grambling night was underperforming. It's under-supported by their current vendor. And the students lack the technical capabilities to be aware or to know, what's wrong with the site. Why can't we do what we want to do with it? Why isn't it performing? And so when you engage with us in some of the programming that we have, we can take a website and convert it to where it needs to be, as it relates to where websites are in the industry, like how they should perform, how well supported they are, how technically capable they are of being able to perform and meet the job of reaching your audience and being found on the internet through things like Google search and SEO. So the Grambling night is actually still in a stalemate here, and this, I think, it's representational of what other programs might be going through as well, where they no longer have a head of department, and maybe I think they're working on that now, but they're unable to go through a transformation. So this is actually an example of a staging site that was built for them to get them aware that, hey, this is a possibility for you guys when you do have the support of your campus behind you in order to move forward. And then to build on that, we're actually launching the FAMU, and more than likely in March. They're going through their reaccreditation process right now. So they had to kind of pause, but the idea here is that they are taking the FAMU from where they were to where it needs to be as an information source for their campus. And I think what's interesting is that the Grambling and the FAMU, two different sort of, places in their digital journey and the resources that they have as institutions, were on the same platform, the exact same platform, getting little to no support. But they're both hungry and ready and eager to, sort of get into their new platform and start doing journalism in a way that, again, will have all the capabilities of doing what it needs to do. This little one is killing me today. Okay, so our focus is strengthening student media education and careers. So strengthening campus media to us means enhancing student-led efforts to produce quality journalism and information. And enhancing journalism education means supporting journalism programs through additional programming tools and resources. And we could talk a little bit about what programming and resources means in that sense. And finally, connecting students to internships and jobs. So we're working really hard behind the scenes to bring, internship, mentorship, and industry opportunities to these students. Now, you can definitely do things like become a member of, places like NABJ or attend conferences, but this is our effort of bringing all of our folks together, to bring these newsrooms and these campuses together and to corral these opportunities so that folks know where to go to reach you, right? So that's the idea. Our approach involves bridging learning and real world experience. So our methodology ensures that students gain practical real world experience through reinforcing classroom learning and through industry engagement. And so we like to pride ourselves in introducing new skills through workshops. One of the things we did this summer, I had an ONA was had a summit where, we just had three folks come in a room and share more about, their craft and how they do work. And so Canva did a presentation about how Canva is being used in newsrooms. That was a big draw. The students really enjoyed that one. Solutions journalism came in and also spoke with our students about the solutions journalism approach to journalism. And then we also had McClatchy's head of product come in and talk about how they're building new products for students. So these kinds of things I think are going to be activating skills, and folks like McClatchy are very interested in, sort of getting a bigger pool of students to raise their hand for internships. And so we'll share more about that at the end of this presentation. So our programs, they're student-centered, tech-focused pathways to development. So for us, it all starts with collaborative membership. If we don't know, who you are, or more about your organization, this is our way to do that in sort of data-focused way. So membership means that we're going to collect your campus information, and know who you are, have a direct line to you, so that we can have this conversation around what your needs are. So it all starts with that membership. Membership is an application, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But what it does is it opens up access to editorial resources like copy editors, technical support, training, and the opportunity for students to learn the importance of local news and the value of community outreach. So our program is really going to be focusing on that, but it starts with the cohort membership. Collaborative membership. And then we have cohort participation. So this focuses on news product innovation and transformation for enhanced content publishing experiences. So, you can be a member and not have to go through that digital transformation that we have as an opportunity. Membership means that you can participate in some of our programming, but cohort participation is a bigger ask. And so I'll talk about that a little bit too. So here's the perks of a collaborative membership. Membership is no cost, no commitment. it is designed to provide your newsroom with ongoing support, resources, and connections. So this membership includes the monthly virtual workshops. So we have one coming up that I'll share with you. You might have already seen it on our website. But the monthly virtual workshops definitely centered on content development strategies and audience growth and engagement tactics. So we'll be doing some tooling, and at least get students familiar with these things. We want to build a collaborative network. So we want to make sure that you all are in conversation with each other. It's nice to do this once a year, but how about doing it once a month with us and being able to be in conversation with your colleagues from the other campuses? We want to really kind of, spur that as part of what we're doing and being a community. We'll have quarterly check-ins. So these are one-on-one advisory sessions tailored to you, the campus, or the student media publication. And we can talk about what we can do to enhance your strategies or where it hurts for you, where you need help. Just addressing your challenges overall and identifying new opportunities for growth. We want to be, driven by peer insights here. So collaboration and knowledge sharing is going to be really critical to how we all grow together. We'll have a lot of this kind of based out of Slack, just to give you an idea of like the apparatus for how to work. But we want to help you facilitate best practices. We do have email newsletters that you can sign up for, and then there will be a support portal also offered through Slack where, if you are having a technical challenge that you need help with, we can definitely help you troubleshoot. So the collaborative hub is essentially how we're centering or centralizing resources. And then the virtual training center will be kind of an open area where you can see our previously recorded virtual sessions, or when we, work with a partner who, has tools that they want you to learn, like the Google News Initiative. They're interested in sharing some of their learning and training with you. All of that will be held in the virtual training center. And that'll be a place where academics and student journalists can go, educators, anyone on your campus can go to this virtual training center and learn more about, a technique or strategy in journalism, or how to do data reporting 101 or more advanced topics. So that's later to launch this year. Right now, we're in the process of gathering video resources to share with you all. Now, our cohort participation program, again, this is going to be a lot more involved. There's going to be a lot more requested of whomever is going to be leading your participation in the collaborative to help be a part of. So it starts with launching a new digital platform. And so, so essentially the transformation that we told you a little bit about earlier, of taking your website from where it is today to, the new version of your site. That would be a platform development program, right? And so through this program, we're improving the functionality, design, and effectiveness of your current digital news offering. And it allows you to reimagine your print-focused campus news, or even your radio or television center. If you may have some needs there, wanting to digitize that. We can customize the site to whatever the need is for the campus. Now, the participation requirements, it's a year-long program. It requires a designated, faculty lead, and select students should be a part of that process so that they can also learn, what's being implemented on the site so that they can adopt the tools. We also do training as well for the campus media, in which we teach the students how to do the training as well. So joining the cohort is a simple process. So once you become a member, you can then also sign up to join a cohort. So you'll complete your registration. You'll schedule a discovery call with us. I kind of lay out a scope of work and collaboratively define your project's objectives. And then we start your project journey, right? So we dive straight into the transformation process of migration, planning your content, maybe rethinking the categories you had on your site, renaming them, get rid of old ones. It's a cleanup job, but we do all of that, tee it up for launch, and then make sure your students have the training to and the know-how to man their websites. So again, there's two parts to this publishing lab. So the online publishing lab is kind of I'm sorry. There's two parts to cohort participation. The first one is the online publishing lab, which I just outlined, right? That's adoption of the new technology. So the other side of the house is, we've been asked and told by, campus media that they've had a challenge with being able to generate revenue on their websites, and that's a focus for some of them. There's campus media who have a newspaper still, and they're being asked, can they do digital ads? We found that there isn't a lot of support for that by their existing providers, nor do they share revenue with them. So the Revenue Lab is actually, a program that allows you to develop the infrastructure and the resources to sell digital advertising, which is an incredible opportunity. So just to kind of lay it out, right, visually, the Online Publishing Lab is based on a platform that most small to mid-sized news organizations are moving to if they have the resources to do so. It's called NewsPack. So we perform a CMS migration. We help you develop your products like your newsletters, your CTAs, some folks have an app. It is possible to bundle your website as an app. We can do things like that. We perform live virtual training, and then we offer that virtual support. And then it's the after that I think that really counts. So I really like the visual here because we can do things like track your growth, right? Like, teach students how to do metrics reporting, which is really great for them, joining an audience team or an engagement team, and have that as a career option. They can do things like track subscriber growth of their newsletter. So the Online Publishing Lab is definitely kind of a two-part thing where you migrate and then you get the training, support, and resources to, really learn best practices and web production. And then again, the Revenue Lab here is really focused on sustainability and teaching you, the campuses, how to generate revenue with your websites. How it works is it's a 6-month Revenue Lab focused on building infrastructure and identifying opportunities as a part of your annual cohort program. And the collaborative support services in managing advertising operations and executing revenue strategies. Normally, this is where Justin would come in to talk more about this because this is his side of the house. But essentially, it focuses on revenue strategy, digital optimization, advertiser resources, team enablement, content monetization, analytics and insight, engagement platforms, and workflow optimization. So these are really kind of a bunch of different areas that are important to selling digital advertising. And so you're going to have a team, and we can talk about that. You can have maybe students learning how to do digital ad ops, and that could be the sales side or the programming, the ad side, right? Like they can understand how to manage an advertising, program where for 30 days they're going to run, say, a Costco ad on the site, and learn how to manage the ad, like where the ad unit should go in the site, and turn it off when the campaign is done. So it's a multidisciplinary approach to training you on how to adopt revenue as a strategy for your website. I'm almost done here because and I'd love for the second half of this to be kind of focused around your conversations, but just want to kind of share our process for how we want to work with you. It starts with discovery for us, so understanding your campus media needs, implementation. We want to launch the tools and resources that you need. Development will involve structuring a program or a plan of growth. Strategy involves creating pathways for sustainability. Execution, so hands-on guidance through the process, and optimization for continuous improvement and adaptation. So what you see on the screen here, this is Justin, speaking with, I think this was Miles. And so, we are doing a lot of this work virtually, and that's what you can come to expect from, a collaborative resource like this. So a lot of Zoom, a lot of, Google Meets, and a lot of, being able to respond to you through, things like Slack when you become a member. Now, I want to hit frequently asked questions because this is really important. So here's what you need to know. Participation, again, is completely free, is no cost to you. We are a campus media and department resource. We're not a competing interest, right? Like, we don't want to get in the way of the work that you're doing. We don't want to put more on your plate if you're not asking for it. But we want to be able to supplement where we can and help you where we can. And help your students ultimately where they need it the most. You don't currently need to publish a campus news product. That could be maybe in your roadmap for where you want to be eventually as a program. Or maybe you have a dormant publication and you're not prepared to put it back online yet. That's fine. Maybe your students could still benefit from being a part of our virtual training or our webinars, or maybe your department colleagues could benefit from still getting some exposure to some of the resources that we're bringing to you. We support all media formats, print, digital, broadcast, and could be podcasting. We have a wonderful partner who will be doing a podcast training, and more about that in a bit. We've got a conference coming up, so there's a lot more that you'll hear more about what we're going to be focusing on. There's no cost for technical onboarding or implementation. It's all covered. We're funded through philanthropy, no financial burden on you, the school. And we're cohort focused, right? Like, we're powerful when everyone is here at the table with us. So transforming and monetizing campus media products is a big part of what we're trying to do. And we're trying to do it from a cohort model, which is, taking, say, 4 to 8 newsrooms and working with them at a time. And the size of the cohort doesn't matter. It's just about, sort of getting folks on a runway to work with them systematically. Founding university members. So these are members that in some way have already started working with us. What we understand and what we had to learn starting this up is that universities, HBCUs, you're in all sort of, you're in all different places in your journey. And so some folks are ready to get up and go. Other ones need a little bit more time. Folks got to prepare. Time of year is important. Your schedules and how crazy it is, and asking you all to do something else is a lot. But Myra Lowe is probably our deepest, most committed partner so far. She's a founding university member. So her site is going up first. It'll kind of be the model that we'll be talking about, and in order to, sort of help get other universities and newsrooms involved. But we are working with Jackie at Morgan State, and we have Terry Marsh's a verbal commitment to work with him in Norfolk. Closing, rounding this out here, we have the HBCU Digital Media Conference coming up. And so it'll be in Atlanta at the Starling Midtown, April 17th through 18th. It's a 2-day conference. And so it will be quite a treat to host you all. We're aiming for total participation of 150 folks, students and academics. We're working on outreach right now. We're closing out our sponsors and programming. So I'd say within another week or so, we'll do an announcement of our calendar of events during the conference. It's also supported and sponsored by the Google News Initiative and more recently the Knight Foundation. Yeah, okay, so I already went through the folks that we're trying to get in the room. Let's see. Oh, another upcoming opportunity. This is going to be on this Thursday. You'll hear from McClatchy Media. So same time as today, we'll have a virtual session with McClatchy. Students will learn about, this is more of a student program, so we would love for you all to share this with your students and your classes. They're going to talk about guaranteed summer internships for hands-on experience, professional mentorship from industry leaders, full-time job offers. The program offers full-time job offers upon graduation, which is incredible. And there's flexible work options for remote, hybrid, and on-site participation. This is actually a pretty interesting program that they have. It's one of two, for HBCUs. And this one is multidisciplinary. So they have a certain section of internships for HBCU students in journalism. And then they also have internships for other parts of the company. So if you have students who are interested in revenue or HR or leadership, then they can place you in these different parts of the internship. So I really want to encourage you all to get your students to attend that. It'll be recorded, and I believe that the deadline for that opportunity is the end of the month, so it's fast approaching. They've been marketing it. This is a part of our interaction with them where we're leveraging our platform to spread the word about their opportunity, and there will be more to come, virtual sessions where you all will get to speak with the folks who are going to be doing the hiring for these kinds of opportunities. So just to summarize the steps to get started, it all starts with membership. So you become a member. You complete the registration, schedule time to meet. We really want to know who you are. We really want to be able to see and meet you. And then you'll accept the membership. And then we want you, of course, to enroll in a cohort at some point. We understand that there are different avenues for which student media is administered, but that would open up the 6-month online publishing lab. So it's a runway of about 6 months to get your site up or less, followed by a 6-month revenue lab. If you decide you want to do the revenue route, you can totally have a website and not do the revenue side, and that's totally fine. You could sit in on the revenue lab sessions if you wanted to. You can register for it. That's totally fine. Again, this is about exposure. And then finally, we want you to subscribe. So we do have the collaborative newsletter on the site. We have a job board newsletter, so you'll be getting job board updates, and then the virtual workshop calendar is something that you can have automatically added to your calendar, so we can share a link for that as well. We will share the slides with us on our website and with you in your email, so be on the lookout for that after this session. But at this point, I think is a good time to just want to open up and for Q&A. Happy to hear more from you about what your needs are, challenges, opportunities, and anything else that you would like to kind of know more about.
Michael, it's good seeing you again. I remember working with you when I was at the Atlanta Voice. I want to know, there's a lot of information that you put out. Will you be sharing this recording?
Yeah, definitely. So this will go up on our website. And then the the deck that I just shared will also have links in it to all the resources that we have for you as well. So yeah, definitely.
Hey, Michael, I wanted to first and foremost to commend you for an outstanding product. This is so exciting to see. I think we had discussed, your ideas when you were in the process of building this out. So I really want to commend you for what you've come up with. I think it's very much needed. Having been a chair at two schools, I've sort of seen all of the challenges, and so I wanted to be on record as saying anything I can do to try to help spread the word. I definitely want to do that. I did send this to Craig, so I'm happy to see him online today, and hopefully Morehouse will be signing on as a partner. And certainly, I think we have other opportunities, both here locally and beyond here. So I definitely want to work on this. One area that I'm concerned about, and I don't know how much of that it can be a part of this, because I know you're dealing with kind of the technological structures, and I think that's very, very critical. One thing that I'm continuing to see that concerns me with HBCU students who apply for our internships is I'm just not seeing the quality in the work. That's putting them up to the standards that we know that they need to have at the professional level. And I've been very, very concerned about this, and we've been talking in our organization about what role we might be able to play in terms of helping along those lines. And I remember from my time at the universities, one of the challenges is that because of the focus of a lot of journalism, mass communication programs, there's not really a sincere or significant focus on journalism. And so it kind of gets lost in the mix, and so you have a few students who want to be journalists, some students who are exploring, not really clear about. So I think programs need some help in that area as well. And also, how do we make sure that students who are getting these mass comm degrees at least come out with basic competencies? And I was always trying to preach that journalism is a foundation, and it can lead you in so many other ways. But if you build that foundation, then you have something that's solid to build. And somehow I don't think that is really getting through. So, I was just wondering if you see any possibilities for intersection or for address, because I think at the end of the day, yeah, it's good to have the technology. Yeah, it's good to have all that, but the content still has to rise to a certain level.
Yeah, I'd love to speak to that for a moment. I think there are a couple of themes here that we could probably highlight. You're right, the technology is not going to do the job of journalism, right? It definitely helps get your journalism out there when you do it. But I think big picture, having the students be actively involved and participants, throughout the year, not just on your campuses, but on a bigger level where they could see the other campuses. They could see the budding superstars coming from other schools, that itch to want to compete, can be a motivator to produce stronger journalism, or to produce it in such a way where it reaches audiences in a new way. So I think there's an activation component of it that campuses are struggling with. But the biggest activator for me personally, early in my years, was seeing the other students who, excelled in their careers and got that internship or went on to that job. That was a motivator for me, and I think that's the spirit that we're trying to bring into this, is that, hey, you should be aware of the other folks who are doing this, and start to do that yourself on your campuses. So I think once we get that activation up, and that's a big hope for the conference that we're having, specifically focused on students and getting them excited about it. Hopefully you'll then see a spark ignited for them to, really engage that campus media or work hard to finally get that internship that they don't have. That's the hope. I see a hand up. You're more than welcome to unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm driving, sorry. I was just wondering the same thing. That was something I wanted to talk about, and I think you answered it properly. I'm a professor at Talladega, and I think we're definitely going to jump on board because I like everything you said. So I'm going to take these notes back to my chairman. Um, but that's one of the things that I see a lot of. I come from a journalism background as well as a mass communication background. And just in talking to a lot of my students, they're always saying, well, I want to go into production. I want to be a producer. I want to be a social media influencer. You hear that all the time. No one ever says, I want to be a writer or a reporter. They're always talking about videography. But it's something about they just need to know the basics before you can get out there and produce for television or before you can get out there and produce for online news. So like you said, I think even them publishing an online website or online newspaper, they have to be able to write the content or to produce for television. If we have we don't currently have a television studio at Talladega. But in order for us to get a television studio up and running with TV news, we have to have writers. We have to have reporters that can produce the content that is good, you know. And so I think, I think it's Robbie. I think, like he stated, that's something that, you know, I think could be maybe implemented or something that we need to, you know, kind of look at, focus on. So if you all could kind of share some tidbits with us on that, that would be great. But I think you hit it when you gave
Yeah.
your response.
Yeah. So I think there's another avenue to this that's worth mentioning. So, you know, behind the scenes, we're really working hard to bring some of the organizations that have a student development program to your doorstep, right? And so, you know, yeah, students can go ahead and apply, and they may or may not get accepted. I think one of the biggest, you know, opportunities for students to understand where they are and where they stand is when they can have a conversation with these folks to ask them, like, what was missing from my application? What was missing from my body of work? What can I do to be that person chosen next year? And they can hear from, you know, the horse's mouth about where they're lacking. And that should be the wake-up call for them to say, okay, I get it, right? So I know some folks, you know, end up senior year and they wrote a couple things and start applying for jobs all of a sudden, and it's not great for them, right? So if we can do that earlier, if we can get them in that feedback loop earlier, you know, and be a facilitator of that for you all, you know, then I think hopefully we'll see again, like, you know, something ignited in them to want to work harder or make sure that they get that internship or whatever it was that recruiter said was missing from their body of work.
And let me too thank you all for what you're doing. I think it's awesome.
Thank you. We're honored to do it. Rosalind, I saw your hand up. You're more than welcome to come off mute.
I just feel like what I'm going to say is just going to sound really regurgitated. I guess just to introduce myself, my name is Rosalind Hamilton. I am currently the publications and media manager here for the student media department at Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And to pretty much touch on what Ms. Gatson said and what Mr. Morganfield said, a lot of these students here do not, I don't, I'm trying to gather my words because I've just kind of seen a lot in the little short year and a half that I have worked here in this student media department. I guess one thing to understand for us is just that we do not work, I guess in essence, we work independently from our mass comm department. So our student media is an actual separate department, but it still falls under the umbrella of student affairs. And so here we have the newspaper. We are home to the Southern Digest. We have our Jaguar yearbook, and we also do Ego magazine. And I guess the biggest thing for our newspaper is pretty much finding the students who want to write. Um, I don't know if they maybe just think it's boring, or maybe they somehow, for whatever reason, why they just don't think that they need to write. But it's like a lot of our students, or I'll say a good bit of our students actually are mass comm students, and a good bit of them are PR students, public relations students. And but it's like they don't understand that they still have to write. They don't understand that those writing skills will actually help them go far, regardless of if they end up working in news or not. But I mean, being in PR, you have to write press releases, you have to send out emails, you have to do all of these things. And we're also just noticing that they also shy away from news in general, whether it's hard news, soft news. They just want to go and do all of like the fun events, if you will. And that's something that we have really been trying to nail and hone in and like press into them, that it's like not everything in this industry is going to be fun. Not everything in this field is going to be fun, but the work still has to get done. And so I guess it's really just trying to figure out a way to kind of just draw them back in and kind of see that, oh well, this, you know, isn't pointless. Especially for us, because we have been in a very different transition period just for our department as a whole. There are a lot of like construction things going on around campus, and so we were supposed to be getting a new I probably really shouldn't be telling y'all our business, but hey, we're supposed to be getting a new student union, and so they pretty much cut a lot of the fees for various different apartments, and not just our department as well. They cut a lot of fees for various different apartments, and now it's like they're still expecting us to operate at the full budget, but it's like we don't have the full budget. Um, so it's kind of like just dealing with things like that. And I am very interested to definitely delve into a lot of these resources, because I definitely do think they could help, especially a lot of like the virtual workshops. Just because I think it really kind of just boils down to maybe they just need to be walked through how to do it. And that has also kind of been a double-edged sword for us as well, just because it's kind of like, well, we can't hold your hand and do everything, but these students now are just different. That's the nicest way I can put it. They're just different. It's like they almost want you to do everything for them, and if everything isn't halfway already done, they're not going to touch it. They're not going to do it. Or it's going to be, oh well, that's too much, or that's too, it's just the excuses out the wazoo. So I think it's just really trying to figure out a way to, I guess, reel them back in and get them to understand that it is important for you to have this skill, regardless of, you know, what you end up going into. We actually had our newspaper meeting yesterday, and we had one of our former alumni come back in, and, you know, he sat in on the meeting, and he pretty much kind of, you know, told them the same thing. And he's not even anywhere in news. He works in government contracting. He was a finance major. So it's kind of getting them to understand that, you know, regardless of what you're majoring in, even though we try to reel in a lot of our like mass comm students, but that is just another thing in of itself, considering that we don't exactly work with our mass comm department. We're trying to, but this is probably something that I will take to our interim dean, just because and I also graduated from Southern back in 2020. I graduated from the mass comm department, and our department is very dated. They are doing a lot of upgrades now. Like we're getting a new like a news studio. They've updated a lot of the classrooms, or at least a lot of the rooms for like students to kind of go in and do their work. But a lot of it is dated and not, you know, following, you know, the current timelines of how they actually are moving now in news. And so I do think this will actually be something that would help them. I'm probably, like I said, I'm going to take all of this and maybe sit down and talk with our interim dean and kind of get her up to speed on this, because I definitely do think this is something that would help. But it does, I think, kind of just boil down to trying to get them to understand, the bigger picture of it all, and understanding where these skills can take them regardless of if they work in media or not.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks so much for sharing that, Rosalind. You know, first of all, we're going to need Trojan horses. I think every campus is different. Every campus has its dynamics. What we've come to realize is that working with campuses, each campus is going to approach this differently. And not all of them will, sort of drink the Kool-Aid or sign on. But I think that there are opportunities to still engage. And so what we're trying to do essentially is at least to, keep the exposure constant. And so if you can get students to be on some of these webinars, great. If we can get students to be at our conference or our summit at ONA, great. We want to be as accessible as we can. Next, we want to be supplemental. So whatever you don't have, if you don't have, someone to handhold students to produce content on the site, check, right? So we at least want to get some of the things that'll help you get the apparatus going. You mentioned a lot of really strong points. I just took a couple notes down here, but writing, and this was again something that Robbie Morgenfeld stressed. At the conference, we're more than likely to have Dow Jones. We got a verbal commitment from them to be there, and Dow Jones has a number of HBCU programs that they've done in the past, and I think they have an upcoming one that we'll be promoting. But one of the things that they do is a writing test, and so in order to get that opportunity with Dow Jones, you got to show that you can write, and I think it's important for students to fail that test, because it lets them know that, hey, I can't get in here if I can't do that. And Dow Jones is pretty much a standard for any other newsroom that's going to want, students to write. So, the more that we can get students to get that fail on the at the doorstep of the hiring, the folks in charge of with hiring, I think that's the fastest way we can let them know how prepared they are. And then we can start to, address that with their participation. So we do want to help emphasize that. The other thing that I'll say, and I just think that there's an opportunity in news that students aren't aware of, especially now. I think there's an opportunity to become a voice, in however avenue or fashion they think that they need to be a voice. And we are just sort of, have the platforms and resources to give them, the ability to use their voice. And so they will have to learn how to use writing to elevate that, but they'll also need to know how to, to spread the word about what it is that they care about. So the better we can tell that story and do it on a bigger level, I think we'll have success with more students. And the last thing I'll say is that there's strength in numbers. I think when we can come together, more regularly, especially as a collaborative, we chose the collaborative model because we know that a lot of journalism collaboratives have been successful in bringing in additional resources, and a lot of funders like the idea that we're organized around what the needs are and how to distribute them. And so I think the better we can collectively, highlight the challenges and, and be in agreement with, hey, this is where the resources should be. I think the better off we'll be able to get resources that your departments need. And I think we should have, more conversations like the one that you mentioned about the disconnect between, say, department and student media, or, or even educators and, you know, in the student media outlet in some cases, right? Like sometimes it's not required for you to do your class assignment and run it in the student newspaper or post it on the student website. You know, so we can talk about those kinds of, you know, disconnects and figure out how we can bridge the gap. But we want to be here for the long term and make sure that those conversations are happening at these journalism schools and programs so that, you know, we can do the corrective work there and move past that and into whatever the next thing that we need to address is, which is probably our administration. But and local news ultimately, right? You know, making sure that not only the campus community is served and fed, but the communities around you are too, right? Like what is community journalism look like? So we're gonna have to graduate, you know, over time together into what that looks like. And so, you know, we won't do it overnight, but I think knowing your pain points, Rosalind, that you mentioned, and Robbie, like that's where it starts. We got to know like where it hurts the most and how we can address that.
Before we leave, I just wanted to again. I know everybody is giving you a kudos, Michael. I want to do the same. The program is fantastic. I'm so excited about the possibilities. I'm so excited about revamping our website that seriously needs it. And please pass those words on to Justin as well. Got to thank Dr. Morganfield as well for the invite. I appreciate that, sir. I'm excited, and hopefully I can get my students excited as well. But thank you for what you're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Craig. I really appreciate it. And I thank you all for coming in here and being a part of this. I know there's a lot of information, like you said. We'll make sure that we package this up and make sure that you can spend some time with it when you can. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. Our contact information will be there where you need it. We'll have some promotions going out on LinkedIn and in your inboxes about our upcoming conference and other opportunities. And then we'd love to see you guys this Thursday, your students, to be a part of this McClatchy session with more to come.
Cool. Hey, Michael, I think I may have mentioned this to you before. Have you ever been introduced to Kali Asset at the Center for Journalism and Democracy?
I finally got a chance to meet with her a couple of times via Zoom.
Okay. Because I see a lot of possibility for synergy with a collaborative that the center has started that's focused primarily on investigative journalism, but we're having the same kinds of conversations about deficits, even with that. And I think with what you're doing, I think if we could find ways to connect some of these, at least for people to be aware, if not some interconnectivity there, I think it has a real tremendous opportunity for bolstering all the efforts, that everybody is trying to put, because there are 10 schools involved in that. So I definitely want to get those 10 schools involved in what you're doing. As far as I know, Morgan and FAMU they're two of those schools. So you kind of got some inroads there, but there are other schools. And then we're talking about expanding the circle of schools. So I think to have them all be aware of what you're doing at the same time makes a lot of sense. And then we can continue to talk about and figure out ways, how do we make sure that everybody is fundamentally sound? That's what my concern is to make sure that students are fundamentally sound so that when we start building on top of it, we know we're building on top of something that's going to stand, rather than them just because, one of the challenges that we have is that many times students get excited about conferences and attending things, taking trips and they'll do all of that. But then what is the takeaway? They take a trip, they're excited, but how do you keep them accountable for the material and the experience in a way that it produces some type of dividend in the end? So I think I think there's some real great opportunities for us to connect and to work collaboratively, in a collaborative fashion on all the different moving parts so that everything kind of syncs, it kind of, it all makes sense, because we're having the same trouble with the investigative stuff. It's like, if you can't write a basic story, you're not going to write a good investigative piece, you're just not going to do it. So, we're having to contend with that. And so I'll say this and I'll stop, but another piece of that is trying to make sure that the teachers are trained, because they're the first point, and some of the antipathy or the that students have about reporting is coming from their instructors. The instructors they're not selling well, and then some of them are not coming from backgrounds where they can sell well. So then you've got that issue. And so I think we do have to address that. You got to have, I love the fact that you have built into this somebody who has to be a champion within these units, and that's what's often missing. You don't have that one person who's really passionate about journalism, who's beating the drum, sounding the trumpet to say this has to matter, and here's why, and here's what we can do to kind of keep it going. So I do see great possibilities. So I'm looking forward to working with you and supporting your work in whatever ways that I can. So thanks again.
Thank you, Robbie. No, it's really important for you to mention. I appreciate your support there. Yeah, we need some Trojan horses, and we're more than willing and open to collaborating with other organizations. So if there are any additional connections you can make, or put us in contact again, just to put some urgency on it, that we should all be talking. Happy to have those conversations.
They're actually going to have an event in May that I'm going to see. I want to get you involved in it, because I think it would be a great opportunity for you to be able to share what you're doing and to figure out ways. But we're going to be meeting at Howard in May,
Okay.
to kind of follow up on some initial efforts. So I'll keep you posted.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right.
All right, folks. Well, I think this was a fruitful call. We might do another one of these in another couple of months, just to get some other HBCUs in the room. So this will probably be a regular thing. Maybe we'll start doing it quarterly or something like that. But otherwise, you will see a monthly webinar, certainly with a partner, always, or some kind of training for students. But thank you for your time. I appreciate you all. Thanks for the love and the support and your commitments, all of your universities. And then reach out if you have any questions. Let me know. We'll make sure that you know how to become a member. I'm sure Dr. Robbie Morgenfeld, we can figure out what membership looks like, in your case as well. But thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you all, and this won't be the last that we interact with each other.